Okay, hello everyone, and welcome to episode 4 of Nature Natters, where we're meeting amazing people, projects, and organisations that are doing great things for nature. So today we are going to be meeting Jan from the Devon Wildlife Trust. And Devon Wildlife Trust, if you haven't heard of them, they do so many great things for nature. They manage over 50 nature reserves in Devon. They advise farmers on conservation and how they can manage their land for wildlife. And they also do lots of education and engagement campaigns. So at the moment they are doing 30 Days Wild. If you haven't got involved already, it's great to get out in nature and enjoy it. And then they're also doing Action for Insects, which we're going to talk a bit about today. So hi Jan, how are you doing?
Hi Bryony. No, I'm doing fine, and it's nice to be here. Yeah.
Awesome. So maybe you could start with telling us a bit about the Action for Insects campaign. Why do we need to take action for insects?
Yeah, well, insects are, some people loathe them and other people love them, but I think we've all been a little bit annoyed by insects sometimes when you're having a picnic out in the fields or something. But the thing is that we really need insects. We couldn't survive without them. So they're at the bottom of the food chain. So all other wildlife basically depend on insects. So all of that other wildlife that we all love and cherish, from hedgehogs to bats to fish to birds, all need insects. And what we've been noticing is that basically insects have been falling off a cliff. We now find ourselves in a situation where about 41% of insect species are threatened with extinction, and they're dying out 8 times faster than vertebrates. So for the last since 1970, quite rightly, conservations have been focusing on all of those other more charismatic animals that have died out. So we've lost 60% of our wildlife since 1970, and quite rightly, there's been an awful lot of focus on saving those other animals. But what's been going on behind the scenes that we're starting to realise is that those food chains that those animals depend on are starting to break down, and insects are right at the bottom of that chain, and we really need them. And we're starting to see that this is the reason why we're losing some of our cuckoos, why we're seeing less nightingales and other birds and creatures that we love. So it's really important. We need insects. We need them ourselves. It's like there's something like 75% of all the crops that we pollinators that we use as humans are pollinated by insects. We really do need them. So that's why we as the Wildlife Trust, we commissioned a report from Professor Dave Goulson, who is a bit of an insect expert and a bumblebee expert. And he brought together basically evidence from around the world and has created this into a report called The Insect's Decline. And it's a very interesting report. It's very accessible, but it pulls together all the evidence from around the world, showing what is happening with insects basically, and has come up with this figure that 41% of them are threatened with extinction now. So, which is why we as the Wildlife Trust decided to adopt insects as something that we need to do something about.
Some scary statistics in there, isn't there?
Yeah, it is a bit, yeah.
Yeah. So have they identified the main causes for these declines in insects?
Yeah, there's about 3 main causes. So it's habitat loss, basically. Modern day living is very hungry for land and space. So it's our housing developments, our roads. All of this takes away habitat that insects need. So what we end up is these little patches dotted around the country, which are saved still for nature, but they're not connected to each other. So our wildlife is not able to move between them. So we really do need that addressed. So habitat loss is one of the main reasons. The second one is an overuse of pesticides. So, we've seen in the last 25 years, we have seen a reduction in pesticide reuse, but what we found is the pesticides that are being used are being applied more often. So the same patch of land will be sprayed much more frequently, and the toxicity of pesticides is much stronger now. So they're designed to kill, and they do a really good job, but they also wipe out all insects. And that's really bad news. So we are seeing a lot of them from that. And it's not just farmers and being sprayed on farmland. It's also, the stuff that we use in our own gardens and the things that we wash away. It all has an impact. So we're asking people to stop spraying at home and in your gardens. And we're asking people to create a little wild patch in their garden as well for insects. So leave areas of the garden a little bit messy. They love sort of log piles and longer grass. Let it flower a bit. Learn to love dandelions. Dandelions are great, or great for insects anyway. So that's what we're asking people to do: create a wild patch and stop spraying. The third big reason is climate change. So as individuals, there's not an awful lot we can necessarily do about climate change, but it is having an impact. You know, we're seeing warmer, wetter winters. Warmer, wetter winters are not great for caterpillars. They die in that, which has an impact, obviously, on our butterflies and other things. Increased risk of flooding. So climate change is another contender in there.
Okay, so we've got the three main things: habitat loss, pesticides, and climate change. So
That's
again,
right.
yeah, it's leaving those wild spaces, isn't it? Having that insect area, and hopefully we can see an increase from now on. And have you got any special insects or special habitats that we find in Devon that people can look out for?
Special habitats. I mean, we're in Devon. We've got we have actually on our nature reserves in Marsland, which is quite close up in North Devon. Marsland is a beautiful place, a beautiful reserve, one of our largest reserves. But it's also a home of the pearl-bordered fritillary, and that's quite a rare butterfly. But through basically doing scrub clearance, keeping sort of bracken growth under control, we'd be able to sort of recreate that woodland glade that those butterflies love. And we're seeing their numbers drastically. They're seeing their numbers on the increase, which is fantastic. We also have another butterfly, the high brown fritillary, which is the most endangered butterfly in the country. That's found a home on a couple of our reserves as well in Devon as well. So we're seeing them. It's all about basically managing your habitat in a way that will create the right conditions for those insects and for that caterpillar larvae to exist. Other things we've seen, some interesting. I mean, personally, I love ladybirds. I mean, they're common, but I just think that they are just, you know, you remember as a little child, you know, you used to find a ladybird and watch it crawl up your finger and things. And I have a real soft spot for the ladybirds. And I think how they open up their red casing is like a DeLorean car, isn't it? And then these amazing wings come out and they fly off, and they can also, they squirt really smelly toxic, well, not toxic, but really smelly yellow liquid out of their knees. I mean, that's I just think that's just awesome, you know? So everywhere you can see these wonderful ladybirds, and they're great. They love aphids, so they're really good for the garden as well. So that's really good. Yeah.
Yeah, I honestly haven't seen a ladybird in quite a long time, and I really want them
I
to
know.
feed on
Well,
my
you notice it, don't you? I mean, it's funny. The other night, you know, as well, you sort of like moths and things like that. I remember as a kid, I'm in my 50s now, but as a kid, used to sleep with the window open at night, and if I'd left the light on for anything, the bedroom would be filled with loads and loads of moths. Now, it's not a problem. You know, you really don't. You maybe get a couple in there, but that does show you it's just like this isn't normal. This isn't right. It's not how it should be. So yeah, we do need to take action. We have created, when people sign up actually for the campaign, they can do that on our website, is that we have two really useful guides which are free to download when you sign up to the campaign. There's one that will help you take action at home. So it's got lots of tips about organic gardening, of using alternatives to pesticides. You know, there's lots of things that people can do if you're a keen gardener, instead of reaching for the spray. Also about light control to help moths. Moths are really not great with artificial light. And the other guide is for communities. So if there's communities out there that want to get involved, again, there's a really good community guide out there which will help people get started as a community group and take action on a more community level. So we're hoping that hopefully thousands of people around the country, it's not just Devon Wildlife Trust, all wildlife trusts are taking up this campaign. We'll start to do that, and then we can put pressure on government to start to bring in some laws that will help to protect nature, and so that we can bring our wildlife back.
Sounds amazing. Yeah. So all the information that Jan was talking about is on the Pledge for Nature website as well. So you can make a pledge, tell us what you're doing to take action for nature, and yeah, download these amazing booklets. They're really useful, and there's some good guides for like what plants are good for pollinators and things like that.
Yeah.
So, and finally, we'll kind of round things up, but what else is Devon Wildlife Trust up to at the moment? Have you got your voluntary groups going out yet? Or?
But not our volunteering groups at the moment, no. Sadly, we have about 300 regular volunteers, which is fantastic, and we're really lucky as an organisation to have so many people that are really passionate about wildlife helping us. Unfortunately, we're not able to get those going again at the moment. We've just been, as with everyone, it's been incredibly strange times. So we've had our reserves teams are just starting to go out and work. Some projects have kept going throughout the time. So where possible, we've been able to keep people going. But in general, our reserve teams have been on furlough, but they're now coming back, which is brilliant. So we'll start to see some of that really important work happening on our reserves now. Other things that have been going on, we've recently acquired Horsey Island up in part of the Cane Wetlands up in North Devon, which is an amazing place, and it's going to be is already fantastic place to go bird watching. Amazing sort of golden plovers and wonderful species up there to see, which is brilliant. So that our Gavin there is our project lead on that reserve, and he's been doing some great work there, and has been talking to people about some of our plans that we've got for that reserve and that area up there. So so that's really exciting. What else has been new? Saving Devon Treescapes, we're working on that. So that's a very exciting project that is to help us sort of overcome the effects of ash dieback, where we've got a big tree planting scheme. So we're part of that in a partnership project with other charities as well involved with that. So that's very exciting as well. And that involves a tree nursery and growing trees from seeds, so which will be a community nursery there as well, which again will be sited up in North Devon. So that's really exciting. So hopefully people will hear more about that very soon.
Awesome. All right. Thank you for your time. And like we said, yeah, go visit Devon Wildlife Trust. And thank you for listening today. Thanks, Jan.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.